You want to draw a manga or comic or whatever, but all of your characters have a very similar face. And that's called SameFaceSyndrome, and it's easier to solve than you might think. And I will show you how you can do that. Hi guys, my name is not that. It's also none of the names down in the comments. Don't look at the comments of this video if you're new. They're all liars. None of these names are mine. Anyways, let's start with the video. Here is how the SameFaceSyndrome usually works. Okay, so you usually start out by learning a method on drawing faces, like the Loomis method, or maybe how to draw some anime faces or whatever. You gotta start somewhere, right? Then you usually start practicing with this method. You're getting better and better, so you're even developing your very own art style. You draw faces that people may even recognize. But here's the problem. You are now in your comfort zone. After all, you developed a method that you really like, so you obviously will always use this method to draw all of your faces. But if you always use this one method, all of your faces will obviously look the same. And this is how SameFaceSyndrome happens. And it happens to a lot of artists. But if you want to draw your own manga or comic, you can't have all of your characters look the same. Like, you can, but people will call you out for it, and they're not entirely wrong for doing so. So if you are right here, don't worry, there is a way to get to the next step, and it's actually pretty easy. Oh, and if you're still stuck on one of these steps right here, you can't draw faces or you didn't develop your own art style yet, I did make tutorials about faces and art styles, just watch them instead. Okay, but let's finally get drawing. Like I said. Like I just said, SameFaceSyndrome happens because you initially learned a method on how to draw faces, you developed your own style with it, and now you're copy-pasting every face like this. But if you look at character design people may consider as good or diverse, I think you can instantly tell that these faces were definitely not drawn the exact same way, like not even close. Because that's how it works in real life. People's faces are all built different. Just look at the different measurements in each one of these faces. That's how faces get to be really unique after all. And you can really see that there's a big difference in uniqueness when artists draw inspirations from real life versus when they just apply the same method over and over again. Okay, so here's a good practice on getting more diverse with your faces. Drawing people from real life. I know, it sounds boring, but if you don't have much experience with drawing actual real life people, you probably won't get rid of your SameFaceSyndrome in the long run. Being able to adapt a person into a manga version like this isn't easy if you're not experienced with drawing real life people. Because just by looking at a face, you don't really know how to make a manga character out of this if you're inexperienced. Artists who are able to stylize human faces like this are very experienced in this because they drew faces a whole lot and they know the ins and outs of the human face. So the first step would be to practice drawing actual real life humans. Like a lot. That's also what I did right here, and I actually do this a lot. You can use your own method for drawing faces, that's what I did right here. I didn't use any specific method, I just winged it. But you can also just use the Loomis method in case of doubt. And there are websites that offer you images of faces which are entirely copyright free. I've used them before and I can only recommend them. I did pick a couple of them out and I linked them down in the info box, and I would be really happy if you left a like, if you liked the video so far. Now you should practice drawing faces like this in order for you to get a big mental library. By practicing drawing faces like this daily, you are broadening your horizon by a lot. So practicing this a lot will slowly but surely make you recognize patterns in faces. You know, things like wrinkles, different proportions, and so on. And you will get a lot better at memorizing these patterns and details just by practicing this for a couple of days. And after expanding your mental library like this, well, that's when you'll be able to draw stylized faces like the ones that you've seen before. Because you are now way more experienced when it comes to drawing real life faces, and you know exactly what to look out for. TLDR, the more variety you have in the faces that you practice, the more variety your characters will have later on. I even try to draw random people in the train or just people on the streets every chance I get, and like, look at that, that's already so much more unique than just drawing the same anime face for the 100th time. Oh, and also, if you're a traditional artist like me, my dealer sketchbook is back in stock if you're still looking for a sketchbook. It's not only absolute eye candy, it also has really high quality paper, and you can even paint on it with watercolor, because that's something that I'd like to do a lot. It's available in my online shop at DrawlikeaSir.com if you still look for one, or maybe you still need a birthday present for an artist friend of yours. That's also a great fit. Now, let's test if you improved and fixed your same face syndrome. Here's a fun method to test yourself. Pick a couple of your favorite characters in fiction, medium, doesn't matter, and try making fan art of them. Because if you're making fan art and you'll get results like these, well, I don't think you beat same face syndrome yet. You can still use the very same method you usually draw faces with, but what you hopefully realized by drawing all of those real life faces is that you always need to adjust these guidelines to match these faces. Every face is different after all. This practice is basically a blend out of using your style, drawing from your reference, and also adding the experience that you got from drawing faces, aka your mental library that you've used to draw real life faces. If you have enough experience drawing in your own style, you practice drawing real life faces enough, and you still have a good reference that's not pixelated or something, your result should be a nice blend out of the original reference, your own art style, and some elements from your mental library that you've observed in real life. This is especially fun with characters that are not particularly from a heavy stylized medium. These make for some really interesting artworks. Depending on how much you play with these influences, the end result can vary so much, and it's an enormous amount of fun to play around like that. I think making stylized fan art from real life people is still pretty much the best practice, because you can't get much more variety than having real life faces. It's hard at first, but like I said before, you can always pick and choose how stylized you want to go here. Experiment a bit and you'll see how unique these results can get. Now, after you've done all of that, you actually learned how to get unique with your faces. So the only thing here left would be to just create unique characters. In case you're not aware, I have a story writer by my side who actually wrote all of the story for my manga series that I've published, and I asked him to spitball me some descriptions of some random characters, just as a little challenge so I won't cheat. So I actually designed characters just via a loose description, and I think you will be able to tell that I tried avoiding same face syndrome like the plague by using what I have learned from practicing real life faces. And they are quite different from my usual art style, if you couldn't tell. And if you're now in the mood for some more of my tutorials, well, they are on screen right now. There's also my manga series on screen in case you want to read into that. Well then, thanks for watching, see you soon, goodbye.